Hello, welcome. Someone just died. That's Puerto Rico for you, my friend. We're gonna be working today with the Cannonball system, right? We're gonna make a cannonball, right? The particle system, the aim assist, the UI, the explosion, the aim and fire mechanic, right? And the mobile and the touch thing. So that's all the things we're gonna do, and port it to change the code so that it works for mobile games. Change the code so it works on mobile games, right? And yeah, and the reason why I'm changing it to mobile games is cause I have a plan, and the plan is to make it a mobile game. So I began by learning about the mobile code interface, creating a simple script that translates my touch position with the world position. Then I made another simple script that takes into consideration the movement of my touch and rotates an object accordingly. Later in the day, I began changing the code of my own game for mobile support. I implemented the horizontal movement of the ship to be relative to the touch movement. Then divided the screen in two by asking where did the player press the button. If on the left side of the screen, then move the ship. Else, then it's on the right side of the screen, so move the camera. And that was all for today, since I have an exam at 7 p.m. and I have to go eat, but tomorrow I'll begin on creating the Cannonball entity. So, the first thing I did was a to-do list for the Cannonball, and then I went to work. The first thing I did was draw a Cannonball sprite. I thought about doing a 3D model, but I really love the billboard sprite old style, which you can even see in my community game jam video. Next came the particle system, which was a fun process. One of the problems I faced was that if you notice here, the cannonballs would just continue to fly about their way. So my solution was that throughout time, the gravity modifier would increase, making the balls fall. Another exciting thing I realized was that changing some values of the particle system can add for interesting future power-up effects, like giant balls with more damage, or a barrage of balls that's a skill or something. Then I hopped into Illustrator for the first time, and managed to create a Zelda Wind Waker-like cloud. I created a particle system that would burst these clouds and then make them disappear, achieving the following results for the cannonballs. I also coded a script so that the cannons could fire after pressing a button in the canvas. After that, it was nighttime, so I took a breather and went for some food. Hello again. Today I noticed that it was difficult to maneuver the Cannonfire considering how fast it was, so I'll be working on creating a slow motion / aiming feature whilst the cannon button is pressed. Once you press the button in the canvas, an event trigger calls our ready fire method. This method slows down time by half and then zooms in the field of view. Then it calls the second method fire. This method checks if the player released the button from the screen, and if so, then stop the slow motion, return the field of view, and fire the cannons. Next, I worked on the aiming system. I created a method called aim, which will be called by the fire method mentioned before. Here, we rotate the game object that contains all right side cannons. This rotation is relative to the thumb movement of the player and is capped through some sine wave mathematics. After all that, I went to the gym and then felt off, because between yesterday and today, I haven't been doing that much college work, because, this. So tomorrow I'll have to rebalance this shit show with more college studies, Today I worked on an aim assist so that the players could know where the cannonballs were gonna land. After some test iterations, I ended up using a mesh for the aim assist. I set the pivot of this mesh to be where the cannons would instantiate. This way we have a rotation that will be relative to the Cannonfire. After adding it to the ship model and giving it almost the same rotation code as the cannons, the result was pleasing. As I mentioned before, I need to do some college stuff, so I'll be right back.
12 seconds later.
So, once back, I made the mesh a transparent object and only activated it once the aim phase began, achieving the following result. Then I had the idea of giving the ship an explosive force after the cannon fire, but that can wait. Since the cannons still don't explode, I began working on the collisions of each cannon. I created a particle system for the explosions using the previous smoke sprite, and created a script that would instantiate the explosion wherever and if ever the cannon collision would intersect. Meshing everything together, the result felt very accomplishing and honestly looked fun. Good morning. Let's get right into it, man. First thing I realized was that the cannon particles would still bounce around the map after colliding with whatever. This is because the particle system stop method removes the particles after their duration. So to solve this, I specified to the stop method that we want to clear the current cannon particle. I also made sure that the cannon particle isn't colliding with any objects before it's emitting. To make the screen a bit prettier, I made two GUI sprites, one before you press the button to aim, and a second before you let go of the button to fire. With this button ready for exporting, I plugged it in the canvas, and using the event trigger, I made the sprites swap whenever I hold down and let go of the button, achieving the following results for the GUI. Last thing I want to work on is a suggestion that was given to me to make the arrow 3D and point wherever the wind direction is at. For now, what I've done is create a script that'll make the arrow model follow the wind direction. Then, with a separate camera, the arrow is rendered in a render texture, and this render texture is passed to the canvas as an image. The last thing I did was give the cannons some sound effects and place some target practice placeholder models, finally obtaining the current result. So, I hope you enjoyed this week's devlog. If so, then consider hitting that like button so the YouTube algorithm can love me more. Also, give me some clout on social media. I post there all my current life progress. So, anyhow, till next time, I am signing out.